chosen one. Stop scrolling. Can I ask you something deeply personal, something nobody else has the courage to ask you? Why have you felt invisible in your own family? Why do they celebrate everyone else's victories, but question yours before they even happen? And why does it feel like the harder you pray, the longer you wait, the more they doubt? I know, I see you, and so does heaven. Listen to me carefully. What I'm about to speak over your life in the next few moments will answer questions you've been afraid to ask out loud. God said the rise that's coming to your life will shock your family more than you can possibly imagine. Not surprise, not impress. Shock, as in jaw open, speechless, hands trembling. How did this happen? Shock. But before I tell you why this is about to happen, you need to understand what heaven has been orchestrating behind your back. While you slept, while you cried in secret, while you questioned if God even remembered your name, there is one thing God deliberately hid from your family about you. One truth He kept veiled. One assignment He concealed. And when it's revealed, and it's about to be, your entire bloodline will shift. I'll reveal it in just a moment. But first, if your spirit is already stirring, if something inside you just woke up, type Amen in the comments right now. Let heaven see your agreement. Let that be your activation. And before we go deeper, I want to say this from my heart. Thank you to every single soul who has supported this message through Super Thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just giving, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling, invisible in their own homes. Whether you sow a seed today or not, I'm deeply grateful. Your presence here, your attention, your hunger for truth, it all matters. Now, let's step into what God is about to do, because what's coming won't just elevate you. It will redefine how your family sees God Himself. Stay with me. 2. Part 1. Why your family saw your pain before your rise. Tell me something. When was the last time someone in your family asked you about your prayer life instead of your bank account? When did they last celebrate your faithfulness instead of questioning why your breakthrough is taking so long? When did they choose to understand your process instead of comparing you to someone else's highlight reel? They haven't, have they? And that silence, that misunderstanding, it's cut deeper than any wound you've ever carried. Listen to me, chosen one. Your family saw your tears. They watched you struggle. They witnessed every setback, every closed door, every delayed answer. But here's what they didn't see. They never saw your prayers. They never saw you on your knees at 3 a.m., crying out to a God who felt silent. They never saw the warfare you fought in the spirit while they slept peacefully in the natural. They judged your slowness, but they never saw the traps God pulled you out of. They questioned your decisions, but they never saw the doors He deliberately closed to protect you from destruction. They compared your journey to others, but they never saw the assignment. He was preparing you for an assignment so specific, so precise, that it required a consecration they couldn't understand. And that's the part that's hurt you the most, hasn't it? The lack of understanding, the absence of validation, the constant feeling that you have to prove yourself to the very people who should already believe in you. But hear me clearly right now. That pain was not random. That misunderstanding was not accidental. 1 Peter 5, verse 8 warns us, "Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy the devil prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour." The enemy knew something your family didn't know. He understood that once your breakthrough arrived, it would shake bloodlines. He saw that your elevation would expose his lies and break chains that have held your family for generations. So he orchestrated isolation. He magnified every failure in their eyes. He made sure the people closest to you saw only the struggle, never the strategy God was working behind the scenes. He whispered in their ears during holiday dinners. He planted doubt in their minds when they looked at your life. Why? Because he feared the day they would witness God's vindication over you. But this was never about survival. This was about assignment. The delay you endured was not punishment. It was positioning. Psalm 37:23 declares, "The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him." Your steps have been ordered. Every closed door, every painful conversation, every moment you felt invisible, ordered. Let me paint you a picture, and I need you to see this clearly. Imagine a master jeweler working in a back room. Outside his shop, the world continues. People walk past the window, celebrating cheaper stones, flashy displays, quick results. They're buying what glitters. They're impressed by what shines immediately. But in that back room, behind closed doors, the jeweler works slowly, precisely. He's refining something rare. He doesn't rush because he knows this piece will outlast everything displayed in the window. The quality is different. The value is incomparable. The weight is eternal. That's been your journey. Your family saw the closed room. They wondered why you weren't in the window yet. They compared you to the cheaper stones getting attention, but God was refining treasure they couldn't yet comprehend. And when he finally brings you out, when he places what he's created on display, the quality of what he's produced will leave them absolutely stunned. Do you hear me? The jeweler does not display a diamond while it's being cut. Only when it's ready. Only when the refining is complete. Only when the facets have been perfected to catch light in a way that takes breath away. You've been in the back room, and your family has been staring at an empty window, wondering when you'll appear. But what they don't know, what they couldn't possibly understand, is that God has been cutting you with precision. Every tear shaped a facet, every setback polished an edge, every lonely night deepened your value. And there's a reason God hid you, a reason connected to the calling in your bloodline. See, your family couldn't witness your refinement because their own eyes hadn't been trained to see what God was doing. If they'd been allowed into that back room too early, they would have stopped the process. They would have rushed you out of consecration and into exposure before you were ready. They would have celebrated the unfinished version of you, and the finished version would have never emerged. So God, in his wisdom, in his mercy, kept them at a distance, not to punish you, not to isolate you cruelly, but to protect the masterpiece he was creating from premature evaluation. Your family saw your pain before your eyes because pain is visible. Struggle is loud. Setbacks make noise. But refinement? Refinement is silent. Transformation happens in secret. Elevation is prepared in hiddenness. And here's what you need to understand. What they saw was never the full story. It was only one chapter. The chapter titled Preparation. But the chapter they're about to read, it's titled Manifestation. And beloved, when God flips that page, when he opens that chapter for your family to witness, their shock won't just be about what you gain. It'll be about what they missed. It'll be about the realization that while they were judging, God was building. While they were questioning, God was answering. While they were doubting, God was designing. Their shock will carry weight because it'll be mixed with revelation. And that revelation will change not just how they see you, but how they see him. So I'm asking you right now, can you thank God for the back room? Can you bless the hidden season? Can you honor the process that nobody understood? Because what's coming next will make every single tear worth it. But before I show you what heaven is about to release, you need to understand this. Your family's shock isn't the goal. It's the byproduct. The goal is God's glory. The goal is bloodline transformation. The goal is generational shift. And you, chosen one, are the hinge that swings open the door. So stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will connect every painful dot you've lived through, 3. Part 2. The heavenly strategy behind your delay. Let me ask you something that's been eating at your soul. Why them, Lord, and not me? Why did my cousin get the promotion while I got the pink slip? Why did my sister's prayers get answered in 3 weeks, while mine have been echoing in heaven for 3 years? Why did you let me fall so far behind that even my own family stopped believing in me? I need you to hear me right now. Those questions aren't signs of weak faith. They're signs of human heartbreak. And God doesn't condemn you for asking them. But what if I told you those questions have been aimed at the wrong target? What if the delay you've been cursing has actually been the most strategic move heaven ever made on your behalf? Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you will turn your entire understanding upside down. Here's what most believers miss. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. Notice it doesn't say there's a season for some things. It says everything. That means your waiting season wasn't a mistake. It was an appointment. Your hidden season wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Your delay wasn't God forgetting you. It was God protecting you from getting something your character couldn't yet carry. Let me go deeper. Galatians 6-9 warns us, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Did you catch that phrase? The proper time, not your time, not their time, the proper time. And here's the part that will wreck you in the best way possible. Isaiah 60:22 declares, "I am the Lord. In its time I will do this swiftly." Read that again. In its time, swiftly. God doesn't say slowly. He doesn't say eventually. He says swiftly. That means when your moment comes, and it's coming, things will move so fast, your family won't have time to process it before they're standing in the middle of your testimony. But why did it take so long to get here? Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a farmer in a small town in upstate New York. Spring arrives. He plows his fields while his neighbors sit on their porches sipping coffee. They mock him. Why plant now? The soil's still cold. You're wasting your time. Plant in summer like the rest of us when it's warm and easy. But this farmer knows something they don't. His crop, let's say it's winter wheat, requires spring planting for a fall harvest. If he plants in summer, he'll get nothing. Zero. His fields will look active, but they'll produce no fruit. So he endures the ridicule. He ignores the voices. He trusts the process. Summer comes. His neighbors plant their quick crops. Everything looks green and pretty. They drive by his fields and shake their heads. Still nothing growing. Poor guy. He should have listened. But September arrives, and his fields explode with golden wheat, while theirs are already barren. They questioned his timing. His abundance answered every doubt they ever raised. Can you see it now? Your family questioned your timing because they were measuring you by their season, but you were never planting summer crops. You were planting something that required deeper roots, longer winters, and a harvest so abundant it would silence every criticism they ever whispered. Your delay wasn't denial. Chosen one. It was calibration. God was positioning you not just for a blessing, but for a demonstration so undeniable that even the skeptics in your own bloodline would have no choice but to acknowledge his hand on your life. And here's where it gets beautiful. If God had released your breakthrough 3 years ago when you begged for it, your family would have credited luck, timing, connections, hard work. But because he waited until the impossible became undeniable, they will have no option but to point to heaven and say, only God could have done this. That's why the wait was strategic. That's why the silence was necessary. That's why the closed doors, the unanswered prayers, the nights you cried yourself to sleep, asking if he still saw you. All of it was building toward a moment so powerful that your testimony would shatter every generational lie your family ever believed. You weren't being overlooked. You were being set up for vindication. Now, let me show you something that will bring this home. Think about Joseph, sold into slavery by his own brothers. 13 years of pits, prisons, and betrayal. 13 years of his family thinking he was dead or irrelevant. But when Pharaoh's dream needed interpreting, God didn't send for the high priest. He didn't send for the scholars. He sent for the forgotten prisoner. And in one day, one single day, Joseph went from a prison cell to second in command of the most powerful nation on earth. One day. His family didn't see the 13 years of preparation. They only saw the 24 hours of elevation. And when they finally stood before him, trembling, terrified, Genesis 50-20 records Joseph's words, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Your story follows the exact same pattern. What your family meant for harm, the doubt, the criticism, the dismissal, God intended for good. Not just for you, for them, for generations connected to your bloodline that you'll never meet. Your elevation isn't just about you getting a seat at the table. It's about you holding the door open for everyone behind you. And when that moment comes, when everything flips in 24 hours, and I'm telling you it's closer than you think, your family won't just be shocked. They'll be transformed. Because your breakthrough will become the proof they needed that God still moves, still sees, still intervenes in impossible situations. So let me ask you this. What if your delay was never about you being overlooked? What if it was about heaven setting up the most dramatic reversal your family has ever witnessed? There is a moment coming, and it's right around the corner, when everything in your life will flip so fast you won't even recognize your own circumstances. And there's a specific sign that will appear right before it happens. I'm going to show you that sign in the next section. But first, I need you to receive this truth deep in your spirit. Your timing is divine, your harvest is inevitable, and your family's shock is already being prepared in the courts of heaven. Now let's talk about the sign you need to watch for. Part 3. The true reason your rise will shock your family. Chosen one. Your family thinks they know you. They've watched you all your life. They've seen your ups and downs. They know your quirks, your struggles, your breaking points. They think they've got you figured out. But they have no idea what God placed inside you. They see the outside, the delays, the setbacks, the closed doors, but they can't see what heaven sees. They don't have access to the blueprint God drew up before you were even born. And when that blueprint manifests, when what's been hidden in the spirit realm breaks into the natural, it will shock them so deeply they won't know what to say. Let me tell you why. Your breakthrough is not personal, it's generational. This isn't just about you getting a promotion, a financial miracle, or a sudden open door. This is about you becoming the gate opener for your entire bloodline. You are the hinge moment in your family's history. The one who breaks the cycle. The one who shifts the atmosphere. The one who says, this stops here. This changes now. And that terrifies the enemy. Because your family has been living under curses they grew comfortable with, poverty mindsets they accepted as normal, fear patterns they called wisdom, spiritual limitations they renamed humility. For decades, maybe even generations, your bloodline settled. But you didn't. You couldn't. Something inside you refused to accept what everyone else tolerated. And every time you chose faith over fear, every time you prayed when others complained, every time you stood firm when they questioned you, you were doing something in the spirit realm they couldn't see. Picture this. In the unseen world, there's a massive gate, ancient, heavy, covered in rust and chains. Behind it, generational bondage, limitation, spiritual poverty, inherited fear. On the other side, freedom, blessing, authority, divine inheritance. That gate has been shut for generations in your family line. But with every act of obedience, every moment of worship in the wilderness, Every tear you cried in secret you've been pushing that gate, inch by inch. It didn't look like anything was happening. Your family certainly didn't see movement. But in the spirit, that gate was shifting, and it's about to swing wide open. When it does, your family won't just see you walk through. They'll watch in absolute shock as you hold it open for them. That's when everything changes. That's when doubt becomes testimony. That's when mockery becomes hunger. You want to know why this shocks them so deeply? Because they'll realize they've been standing on the wrong side of the gate this whole time, and you were the only one willing to push. Let me show you something in Scripture that will bring this home. Genesis chapters 37 through 50. Joseph's story. You know it. Favored son, hated by his brothers, thrown in a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused, forgotten in prison. For 13 years, his family thought he was dead. 13 years of silence. 13 years where it looked like his dreams were buried. But God was positioning him. And when the moment came, when famine struck and Pharaoh needed a solution, Joseph rose. Not gradually, suddenly. One day a prisoner, the next day second in command of the most powerful nation on earth. His rise didn't shock Egypt. Egypt needed him. His rise shocked his brothers. Genesis 45:3. Joseph finally reveals himself. I am Joseph. Is my father still living? But his brothers couldn't answer. They were terrified. Verse 3 says they were terrified at his presence. Why? Because they were confronting two things simultaneously, his elevation and their guilt. They remembered the pit. They remembered the sale. They remembered the lies they told their father. And now the brother they threw away was the only one who could save them. That's your story. Your family threw away your dreams. They minimized your calling. Some even gossiped about your faith. They didn't take you seriously. But when your moment comes, when God elevates you suddenly, undeniably, publicly, they will be confronted with two things at once: your vindication and their doubt. And here's the part that will wreck you in the best way. Just like Joseph, you won't use your elevation to punish them. You'll use it to provision them. Genesis 50:20, Joseph tells his brothers, You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Your rise isn't about revenge, it's about redemption. Not just yours, theirs. The same family that questioned your journey will depend on your testimony. The same voices that doubted you will ask, How did you make it through? The same people who walked away will come back asking for prayer, for guidance, for hope, and you'll be ready. Because God wasn't just elevating you, He was equipping you to lead them home. This is why your rise had to be shocking. If it had been gradual, they could have credited luck, timing, connections. But when it's sudden, when it defies logic and dismantles every natural explanation, they'll have no choice but to acknowledge God. Your breakthrough doesn't just bless you, it confronts them. It challenges every excuse they made for staying small. It exposes every lie they believed about limitation. It demolishes every argument they used to dismiss your faith. And that confrontation, that's where transformation begins. Let me ask you something. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for the family members who mocked you to call you for advice? Are you ready for the relatives who dismissed your prayers to ask you to pray for them? Are you ready to walk in a level of anointing that makes people uncomfortable, not because you're prideful, but because your presence exposes what they've been settling for? This is what's coming, and it's closer than you think. Your family is about to witness a demonstration of God's power so undeniable, it will shatter every box they tried to put you in. Doors they said would never open swinging wide. Opportunities they said you'd never qualify for landing in your lap. Provision that makes no natural sense flooding your life. And when they ask how, you'll have one answer: God. Not your degree, not your connections, not your strategy, God. And that answer will do more for their faith than 1,000 sermons ever could. So here's what I need you to understand right now. The shock isn't the goal. Transformation is. Your rise will shock them, yes, but the shock is just the doorway. On the other side of that shock is hunger, questions, seeking, and ultimately, surrender. Your elevation is the invitation they didn't know they needed. If this is hitting your spirit right now, if you feel the weight and the glory of what God is about to do, type "This is my word" in the comments. Let heaven see your faith. Let your agreement activate what's already been released. Because here's what happens next. Part 4. The coming acceleration. Now hear me closely, because what I'm about to tell you will shake everything you thought you knew about God's timing in your life. There's a verse most believers skip right over. They read it once, nod politely, and move on. But when you truly understand what it's saying, when you let it sink into the marrow of your bones, it will change how you see the next 90 days of your life. Isaiah 60:22. The least of you will become 1,000, the smallest a mighty nation. I am the Lord. In its time I will do this swiftly. Did you catch that? Swiftly. Not slowly. Not gradually. Not piece by piece over the next decade. Swiftly. God is saying, when I move, I don't crawl. I don't tiptoe. I accelerate. And chosen one, that acceleration is about to hit your life like a freight train of favor. But let me tell you something that might shock you even more than that promise. The reason it's taken so long is because God was building something in you that could survive the speed. Listen to what I'm saying. Most people pray for breakthrough. They beg for elevation. They cry out for open doors. But they have no idea what happens when God actually answers. When suddenly, and I mean suddenly, opportunities flood in faster than you can process them. When doors you've been knocking on for years all swing open in the same week. When provision, position, and power converge at once, and the world starts looking at you differently overnight. If your character doesn't match your calling when that acceleration hits, you won't rise. You'll stumble. You'll crack under the weight of the very blessing you begged for, and God loves you too much to let that happen. So He made you wait, not to punish you, to prepare you. He wasn't denying you. He was developing you. Every year you thought was wasted, God was laying foundation. Every season you felt stuck, He was strengthening your roots. Every moment you cried out, "How much longer, Lord?" He was whispering back, "Just a little more. I'm almost done building what you'll need to carry what's coming." And now, finally, the building phase is complete. The foundation is set. The roots are deep enough. And God is about to release the swift move He's been holding back. You want to know what that looks like in real life? Let me paint you a picture. There was a man in Scripture, a shepherd boy nobody respected. His own father didn't even bother to call him in from the fields when the prophet came looking for the next king. His brothers mocked him. His family dismissed him. For years, he was invisible. But in one single day, one day he went from tending sheep to slaying giants, from overlooked to anointed, from forgotten to legendary. That's swift. There was a woman, a widow, with nothing left but a jar of oil and a mountain of debt. Creditors were coming to take her sons. Her future looked finished. But in one encounter with a prophet, her oil multiplied. Her debts were cancelled. Her family was saved. One day changed everything. That's swift. Chosen one, I need you to hear me. Your family has watched you struggle for years. Decades, maybe. They've seen you try and fail, start and stop, believe and get disappointed. They've wondered if you were delusional, if your faith was misplaced, if God even heard you. But they have no idea what's about to happen. Because when God moves swiftly, it doesn't look like progress. It looks like a miracle. And miracles don't make sense to people who've only seen your struggle. They don't have a category for what God is about to do. So, when it happens, and it's happening soon, their shock won't be polite surprise. It will be stunned silence. It will be the kind of awe that makes people whisper, "What just happened?" Now let me speak directly to something I know is sitting heavy on your heart right now. You've lived decades feeling unseen. You've watched younger people get promoted while you waited. You've seen others celebrated while you sat in the shadows. And somewhere deep inside, a lie started whispering, "You're too old now. You missed your window. Your time has passed." Stop. Let me tell you what heaven sees when it looks at you. God has been counting every tear you cried in secret. He's recorded every prayer you whispered in the dark. He's noted every sacrifice you made that nobody applauded. And he's kept a detailed account of every moment your family overlooked you, dismissed you, or doubted you. Not because he's vindictive, because he's building a testimony so powerful that when he vindicates you, no one, not one person, will be able to credit luck, timing, or coincidence. They will only be able to point to God. Your age is not a limitation. It's your validation. Because when a 60-year-old, a 70-year-old, an 80-year-old suddenly steps into overflow, when provision flows, when health is restored, when purpose reignites at an age when the world says you should be winding down, that's not natural. That's supernatural. And supernatural moves shock people. Let me say this even more clearly. You're not late. You're right on time. Because God is the one flipping the clock. He's the one who makes 70 look like 40 inches the Spirit. He's the one who restores the years the locusts have eaten. He's the one who gives you strength in your latter years that you didn't even have in your youth. Moses was 80 when God called him to his greatest assignment. Abraham was 100 when the promise was finally born. Caleb was 85 and said, "Give me that mountain. Your family thinks your best years are behind you." Hod says, "I'm just getting started." Now, here's what I need you to understand as we move forward. There is one unmistakable sign that will confirm everything I've spoken over your life today. One sign that will prove your family is about to be shocked. One indicator that the swift move of God is already in motion. And when you see it, you'll know beyond any shadow of doubt that your moment has come. I'm going to reveal that sign to you in just a moment. But first, I need you to do something. If you feel the weight of this word, if your spirit is bearing witness that this is your season, type, "I receive this" in the comments right now. Let that be your declaration. Let that be your agreement with heaven. Because what I'm about to show you next will connect every dot, answer every question, and give you the confirmation you've been desperately seeking. Stay with me. The sign is coming. V. Part 5. The one prophetic sign your family will see. Chosen one, we've arrived at the moment I've been holding until your spirit was ready. The one prophetic sign your family will witness. The sign that will leave them speechless. The sign that will break every assumption they've ever made about your life. Are you ready? Here it is. They will see a door open for you that no one in your family has ever walked through. Not your parents, not your grandparents, not your siblings, your cousins, your ancestors, 3 generations back. This door has your name engraved on it. And when it swings open, when you step through it into rooms your bloodline has never accessed, your family will ask one question. How? How did you get in there? How did you qualify? How did someone like you, someone they watched struggle, someone they questioned, someone they doubted, how did you end up here? And here's what you'll say. One word. God. That's it. That's your answer. That's your testimony. God. Because no resume opened that door. No connection unlocked it. No human strategy positioned you for it. Heaven moved. And when heaven moves, impossibility becomes testimony. Let me paint you a picture of what this looks like in the spirit realm. Close your eyes for just a moment and see this with me. There's a door. Massive, ancient, made of materials this world doesn't possess. It's been standing in the unseen realm since before you were born, waiting. And carved into that door, in letters of light so brilliant they'd blind natural eyes, is your name. Not the name people call you, your real name. The name God whispered over you before your mother ever knew you were coming. For years, that door stayed closed, locked, guarded. Your family walked past it in the spirit and never even noticed it was there, because it wasn't meant for them, it was meant for you. And every time you chose obedience over comfort, every time you worshipped through tears, every time you said yes when everything screamed no, you took another step closer to that door. The enemy saw it too. That's why he fought you so hard. That's why the battles intensified. That's why isolation felt so suffocating. He knew what was behind that door. He knew what would happen when you stepped through. But here's the part that will wreck you in the most beautiful way. That door isn't opening to you. It's opening through you. Catch that. Don't miss this. Your rise is not just about you getting blessed. It's about your family witnessing God's glory with their own eyes through your obedience. Your elevation is their invitation. Your breakthrough is their proof. Your testimony becomes their roadmap. This is why Psalm 78:4 says, "We will not hide them from their descendants. We will tell the next generation the praiseworthy deeds of the Lord, His power, and the wonders He has done." You are becoming a living epistle, a walking testimony, a breathing miracle that your family can't explain away, can't credit to luck, can't dismiss as coincidence. And when they see that door open, when they watch you walk into favor that defies logic, something will crack open in their spirits. Questions they buried will resurface. Hunger they suppressed will ignite. The same God who did this for you, could He do it for me? That's the real shock. Not just your success, but the awakening your success triggers in them. Think about Lazarus. When Jesus raised him from the dead, John 12:9 tells us that a great crowd came not only because of Jesus, but to see Lazarus, the man He had raised from the dead. Verse 11 says, "For on account of him many of the Jews were going over to Jesus and believing in him." Lazarus didn't preach a sermon. He didn't write a book. He just walked around alive when he should have been dead. And that made people believe. Your family is about to see you alive in places where they watched you die. Alive in your dreams when they saw you bury them. Alive in your calling when they watched you question it. Alive in your purpose when they assumed you'd given up. And your aliveness will preach louder than 1,000 sermons ever could. But here's where this gets even deeper, and I need you to catch this because the enemy doesn't want you to understand this part. The door opening for you will reveal doors your family didn't even know existed. When you step into rooms of influence, favor, provision, authority rooms your bloodline never accessed, you're not just walking in for yourself. You're scouting the territory. You're mapping the path. You're holding the door open behind you. This is generational shift in real time. This is bloodline transformation unfolding before their eyes. Deuteronomy 28:13 declares, "The Lord will make you the head, not the tail. If you pay attention to the commands of the Lord your God that I give you this day and carefully follow them, you will always be at the top, never at the bottom." Head, not tail. Top, not bottom. That's not arrogance. That's assignment. You're being positioned at the head so you can lead your family out of cycles they've been trapped in for generations. Poverty mindsets, fear-based decisions, limitation thinking, spiritual compromise. All of it stops with you. All of it shifts through you.